G'day everybody, it is the Captain here. I just want to have a bit of a talk to you about Norm MacDonald. Now, I want to talk to you as myself, not as a character, not as someone that, is going to be over the top about things. I'm going to talk to you as a comedian, someone that enjoys comedy, someone that loves to laugh and loves good, strange jokes. And Norm MacDonald was the king of that. He sadly passed away today at the age of 61. This is the thing about Norm MacDonald, is no matter what he was doing, he committed 100%. Whether the jokes were going to land or not, he was going to commit to the joke. He would build a joke in such a way that the delivery, like the punchline, the whole crescendo at the end, was designed to make you laugh at the stupidity of the joke, or to actually just make you laugh. And that was what Norm was extremely good at. Now, anyone that knows the Nightcap, anyone that knows me as a comedian, will know that I like to build myself around certain comedians, people like Kyle Elliott, Rodney Roode, and of course Norm MacDonald. Now, Norm was a storyteller. He would have a story going where you were compelled to listen because you couldn't believe where it was headed, and that was the genius of his comedy. He could just create an environment where you had no choice but to laugh. And if the joke didn't land, like he didn't get the response that he was hoping for, he still committed to the joke and would explain it at the end in such a sarcastic manner that you had no choice but to laugh, one, at the joke, and two, at the fact that he just explained the joke to you. And that was his brilliance. They all say that comedians are always the student of the industry, or they are the student of the craft. Well, if we're the students, Norm MacDonald was definitely one of the teachers. His work on Saturday Night Live, and that I grew up in the Norm MacDonald era of Weekend Update, and his delivery week after week after week after week, and you knew that these were the jokes that he loved. Even if they weren't going to land, he would still commit to it, and he came up with so many cutaways and so many strange things that you were compelled to listen. People tuned in week after week to hear what he had to say. Whether the rest of the show was full of entertainment or not, Norm would come out and deliver. I heard Seth Meyers talk about him earlier today, and shined a bit of light about what Norm was really like. And one of the things that stuck out to Seth Meyers was the fact that he could not care if he was going to go out and bomb. If the rest of the show was bombing, Weekend Update was obviously one of the last sort of segments of the show, so he could set himself up to bomb and it wouldn't bother him. If you get a chance, go and have a listen to some of the old Norm MacDonald Weekend Updates, and you will hear so many jokes that have been mimicked by comedians around the world. He didn't care about politically correct. He didn't care about who he offended. He didn't care about any of that. All he cared about was delivering jokes and stories. Do yourselves a favor, if you can, go and watch some of his work on the late night talk shows. He did a great one, The Moth Story, which I have repeated on the Nightcap once before, because it is such a clever constructed joke where you have no choice but to follow the story, and then the punchline right at the end was one that would make you just, like, you can't believe that you just sat there and listened to this story, which was comedic all the way through, and then to have such a basic punchline at the end. And that was Norm's brilliance, is his punchlines, his delivery, whether he was in a movie, whether he was on his own show, whether he was doing his podcast, whether he was interviewing the likes of Jim Carrey and Jerry Seinfeld and all these stuff. He would deliver the jokes that he wanted to deliver. Didn't matter if he offended anyone in his wake. You ask any comedian, I don't care who they are, and you ask them, who is your favourite comedian? All of them will tell you it's Norm MacDonald. All of them. Any comedian I've ever spoken to will tell you that Norm MacDonald is the funniest comedian that ever lived. Straight up. straight up. And that's not to take away from some of our great comedians. You know, as I said, I'm a fan of many comedians. I like to mimic my work, as I said earlier, around, you know, the three great comedians of our time, but Cole Elliott, Rodney Roode, and Norm MacDonald. Watch his stuff on O.J. Simpson, Madonna, Bill Clinton. He didn't care. He would deliver joke week after week after week after week. And his death has affected so many people. But that was Norm. Norm wouldn't want everyone sitting around and mourning him, because there's no joke in that. He would want people to laugh. And that was, again, his gift to the world was the ability to make people laugh. There was a particular joke back when he was hosting the ESPY Awards, and it was during the whole O.J. Simpson trial and acquittal and all that sort of stuff. And he was talking about a receiver that just won the award, and his joke simply was, "You have won this award, and nobody can ever take that away from you, unless you kill your wife and a waiter." This is on national sports television, and he would deliver lines like that week after week. His love for other comedians shone through when he was doing the awards in Canada. He wanted them to be referred to as Candies because of his love of John Candy, who was another great Canadian. Norm suffered for years with cancer, and he kept it to himself. He kept all that away from us. Not because he didn't want us to know about his illness, but because there was no joke there. If he could find a joke in his illness, he would have delivered it. But he didn't want his fans, his followers, his supporters to worry about what was going on with Norm MacDonald, because there's no comedic value in that. But he would go out, no matter how sick he was feeling, and do the talk shows, do his podcast, do his interviews, and have a great time doing it. And to the fact that, until today, not many of us knew. Not many of us knew about his illness. And that's a credit to Norm. I'm sure if you were his friend, you may have picked up on it. But he wouldn't have dwelled on it. He wouldn't have been the guy to bring that up at a party or to bring it up in conversation, because there was nothing in it for you. And that was his brilliance. Watch him on some of the roasts that he's done over the years in Comedy Central. I can't remember which roast it is, but he's sitting there reading the newspaper throughout the entire set, because that was part of his gimmick. That was to let you know that Norm MacDonald didn't care what you thought, because he was going to go out and he was going to deliver his lines week after week after week after week, and then he was going to get up on the roast and he was going to deliver these lines 1, 2, and 3. And he even did the press correspondence dinner for Bill Clinton, who was the subject on so many jokes of his on Saturday Night Live, and they chose him to be the comedic speaker at the press dinner, and boy did he deliver. Now this is the guy that one of his jokes during Saturday Night Live when he was doing Weekend Update was President Bill Clinton was asked about his thoughts on same-sex marriage, and his simple reply was, "I'm not too great about it. I'm not too happy about it. And also, I'm not too happy about the opposite sex marriages either," because it was playing on Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton's relationship. Now, I can't deliver like him. I can't deliver that joke in justice of that. So go out and find it. Go out and have a look at Norm MacDonald's work and enjoy him for who he was, the brilliant, talented, the gold standard of comedy. You're going to be missed, Norm. You really will. And I wish I had the chance to know you and the chance to meet you and thank you for everything you've done for this industry, for the taking comedy from inside dark rooms to national, international television. Thank you, Norm. May you rest in peace. And for you out there viewing, enjoy some of Norm MacDonald's work.
And now, making his network television debut, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Norm MacDonald.
So I had this dream today. You ever have a dream, and then you wake up right in the middle of a great dream, and then you're back in your stinking life again? So then you try to fall asleep, re-dream it? Man, that never works.
O.J. Simpson's new fitness video was released this week, and hitting the shelves next week, Simpson's newest video, Dorf on Stalking. The crowd is torn.
Mr. Reynolds, what are you doing?
Yeah, I found this backstage, oversized hat. It's funny.
No, it's not.
Sure it is. It's funny. It's funny because it's bigger than a normal hat. This week marked the 5,000th performance of the Broadway musical Cats. It also marked the 5,000th time a guy turned to his wife and said, "What the hell is this?"
This one's actually topical. We could nip March Madness in the bud if we watch for the warning signs of brooding antisocial February fever.
Who is writing this? You're doing this. This is your life. You're putting your life on it. You dress like horseshit tonight.
And there's Charles Woodson. How about that? What a season he had. Great, man. He became the first defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy. And congratulations, Charles. That is something that no one can ever take away from you. Unless you kill your wife and a waiter, in which case... all bets are off. Just a word of advice. But if something is true, it is not sentimental. And I say in truth, I love you. Oh, my God.